Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crit Files, your once weekly, or rather, whatever follow-up podcast to the hit actual play D&D show, The Inn at the End. What had just transpired was a long, meandering episode filled with excellent roleplay, riveting conversations, and deals made with malevolent gods. Where do we start? Because first of all, like the whole sort of like deal with the bugs, getting Valen and Simon back, that was adventurous enough. But we decided that where our fate lies with the Prison of Pain was back in the sort of main area where we were, where Ben had sensed on one side a celestial presence and on the other a fiendish presence. And I remember feeling like when I first detected that, like, oh, well, the celestial, maybe that's an ally. Mm-hmm. But Alex had made a coy remark like, oh, well, not always, celestial just means deity or God or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, fuck, okay. So that's why we went where we were. And apparently burning the bugs and doing all that and waiting, that triggered the extra response of having those two hounds, the B-word hounds.
Barghest.
The Barghests. Which being able to negotiate with was fucking badass enough in my opinion.
28? Yeah.
Yeah, fucking 28. That was sick as fuck. And that was thanks to the awesome racial ability of the Reborn in general. But yeah, I felt that was the pinnacle of Ben, like characterized. It was like negotiating with monsters to be able to just go and fight more monsters. You know? Negotiating with monsters to go and negotiate with another monster.
Yeah. Hang on, got something going on over here.
Yeah, that was cool to see Ben finally, because I know you tried so hard to like negotiate several different times.
Oh,
and failed.
I will say though, we didn't have to fight the caretaker, which I thought. Really
Who was also a fiend.
She was a fiend, and
That's
it really
true.
felt like we were gonna fight her.
Yeah.
Ace really wanted to fight her. They had this really cute exchange.
Who does Ace not really want to fight?
Kill her.
Yeah.
and like listening to it, it's on one hand, it felt like we were so close, but also like, no, Ben did his job. Like we uncovered very quickly that she is a little contrary to her nature.
Yep.
Right.
And that's what I'm feeling, like so many things, and maybe that's just the strength of Alex as a DM, where it's like, not everything is just two-dimensional, It's
Right.
like
Sure.
That's why I'm
have-
surprised,
Yeah.
like, why now we're like okay with some spooky celestial and going after this fiend is like already decided that the fiend needs to go.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily feel that I was going to try to negotiate with it as well. But maybe
I
Ace
mean,
just
you
saw it being
held back
tortured.
Ace as long as you could.
All right, you can have this one.
I sort of rationalized it as I've been thinking about Supernatural a lot, the show, as we've been playing this season lately. And like maybe this is like the equivalent of like, Dean Winchester, he spent his time in hell, after season 3 or 4.
Oh yeah.
And now he's back. He's a little traumatized, and he sees this person getting cut on, and he's upset about it. Like maybe it was some sort of real primal response there. So that's where I'm thinking it kind of lies. Not just like it's finally time for me to get my bloodlust out. I mean, the guy. I don't know.
Right, we need to roll back.
Yeah, let's reel it back. Reel it back because we rolled past some really epic shit.
All right. Ace getting to, be Ace and destroy the door and wake up all the things. That was like classic Ace time.
That was classic Ace stuff.
I was happy to get to do that like right at the beginning, and everyone got to get pissed at me. And
It felt like we had some tactical.
Felt like my classic
Pretty typical adventure.
Felt like we had some real good tactical combat there, like lighting the fires, closing the door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
igniting
seemed-
a lot of the bugs.
It
Yeah.
seemed a lot more movie-esque, like
It did, yeah.
not heist, but that kind of intensity.
Yeah, it did.
I
moving
definitely
parts.
enjoyed using like my movement feat, and Alex being like, "Oh, he's gonna hit you." I'm like, "No, he's not." Yeah. I was like, "No, I did that on purpose. Even if I don't hit, it's still good."
And personally, when we got in the other room, the note was a really good effect. That was a great note.
Yeah.
That's
That's the note that lets you know what those caves are about. Where they're not, they're not a place where you can escape from. It is a place where it will torture you and then spit you back into this place.
Yeah. Don't try to find.
Oh,
your
good
way
thing we
out.
didn't go that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is you can go through the caves and you might end up, and this is what it is a D6 roll. You end up in one of the other rooms after suffering some sort of consequence.
No
on
matter
the way.
what.
Yeah, it always loops back
Right.
around. Which
That's
is
kind of what I figured. Yeah.
But the Harrises get down here in and out, and now we
Do
think
rituals,
we know
and
maybe
they open that
the
drawbridge.
access. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they open it from the other side. It sounds like, according to the dogs.
Yeah, they come down and they open it from the
So
scene
that
we-
could be our escape route when one is needed.
I mean, we get
That's
out when
where
we
the
get
ritual
out.
room is, right? Or
Yeah.
is this the ritual room? The
No.
ritual room.
No, the ritual room
This
is
is the
the
feeding.
drawbridge
Yeah.
area.
Well, I mean, we can get out
Ritual.
whenever we want now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
Because
can
of
go
you.
wherever.
ritual
just
room is
unlock
just
whatever.
a room where you do a ritual.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll
Ooh,
find
yeah.
that.
release all the
That's good.
prisoners, and it's all good. We definitely need to talk about.
The aspect of Torog.
The Torog in the room.
We don't need to bring it up.
First
I mean,
of all,
it's
dude,
fine.
I was vibing so fucking hard to what Alex's role play is a thing because he was like talking about like, oh, dude, I was vibing so hard to it. I got a little like teary eyed. I was like, oh, this is right up Ben's alley. This is it. Like, and like saying the whole like, oh, well, we go where Melora's light is needed most. Or I carry Melora's light with me. Oh, I was like, that's the shit I've wanted to say.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
fucking
Really
flawless.
good.
The boys of Quilton are the bears of
Yeah,
Melora's Light.
exactly.
That was a fantastic line.
That fucking, I felt so epic in that. I was like, this is like when fucking Aragorn goes in the caves. He's like, you will suffer me. Except cooler because that was stupid when he did that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what you did was way cooler.
It was.
It was.
Fuck Aragorn.
It was very.
Speaking of, Dash, you had a good one. No quit and Quilton.
Oh yeah.
That-
that was pretty- that was
Quentin
really
Quill.
good.
That was
I
a
like
solid one that I felt needed to be
Yeah.
have a spotlight on it.
Yeah. As soon as the aspect showed up and mentioned something about getting
Power.
power, immediately Valen was like, "Well, that's my thing."
This is our second big
Yeah.
quest
Yeah.
area. This is our second big quest area, and the second time a dark power has offered you power.
Well, the first time I reached out to it and it denied me, which was the caretaker.
Right.
I had prayed to
She
be like,
denied
"Is there
you?
someone?" Yes,
I thought
she said.
I thought
I don't
she
think- yeah, no,
offered you,
'cause-
and you were like, oh, because she said like, didn't she say like, bring me more children then or something?
She looked at me and she said, "I don't think we would have worked out, right?"
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't
You were
have
too
worked
I
out.
didn't
old.
pick that
were
up.
a
And you guys
kid,
were like,
you
"What the
know.
fuck is that?" And
Right.
and Valen was like, "Well, I don't know. It's weird. She
I
says
think
crazy things."
given a different interaction, that had happened, she might have been like, "Oh yeah, this sounds good."
What would the
But
power
it was
be?
just because it was an antagonistic group that showed up, and you're like, "You're with them."
It was
Yeah.
hard not to. I feel like after we leave, I felt like a real strong bond with the caretaker, even though we left antagonistically.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I feel very connected to her.
It's a love hate. Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Oh,
Anyway,
Ace
that's
wants to murder
a will
her,
they,
so-
won't they?
yeah. That's a real far removed.
I mean, Ace kind of wants to murder everyone that he comes in contact with. But
well, especially it's so easy when they're supposed to be evil, right? And
I mean,
doing
they're
evil
bad
things.
people.
And that's what
The only
like,
people Ace considers good people are his close friends,
Yeah.
and everyone else is
On the
fucking
list.
terrible.
Yeah.
that's like really interesting. Like that's real, and that lent itself to some real intense moments in this thing because it's like, on one hand, Ben is 100% in agreement with you. Like, why would we let this dark creature sink itself into our friend? And I want to know a little bit about, because it feels obvious from like a gameplay perspective. Like, oh, a dark power is offering me more power. Yes, sign me up. Like I've abandoned my god. Like it felt like it lined up perfectly with who Valen is and
Yeah.
what Valen might want, and
Yeah.
that's really cool. But you know, what else were you sort of like feeling or thinking in that? Like, you know,
I mean, I think Valen was like,
were you at all worried about, because like I had a
No.
brief moment with
Like
and
the
I looked at
consequence?
Alex's face and I was thinking to myself like, oh, this is like when we were running for the tree in the pit. Remember? And he was like, yeah, if you would have got to the tree, you know,
yeah.
you would have needed a new
Yeah.
character sheet or something like that. Like,
yeah, no, I don't think I was worried. For some reason, I think Valen was just like, well, I'm already half vampire. What else do I have to lose?
yeah.
I might
Make
as
that
well
other
just,
half something badass too.
Yeah, just might as well just take it. I mean, again, at this point, you know, he's lost everything. His mom is left,
Yeah.
basically shunning him,
Yeah.
and you know, all he has is, you know, you guys now, and so it's like, well, what do I have to lose if this is gonna help my friends?
Right.
if this is going to help us in our fight, I might as well take the burden, because I've already taken the burden of being half vampire, taking the burden of, my mom leaving and Quilton being like destitute in terms of faith towards Melora. Like, yes, sure, yeah, great. Infest me with your aspect,
do you see,
like, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Does Valen see any aspect of it that is more than like, well, what else do I have to lose? Is it an end, like a means to an end, or is it just like what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of like, what's the worst that could happen? I think it's also like, there's always, like Alex mentioned, that pit inside of him, because he's so used to believing in a higher power.
Right.
And so I think in this moment was kind of like, I can feel that. Finally,
with fucking thorns. And
yes, and it's filled not with like a love or a light. It's now filled with this
chains and hooks.
When he said it was filled with nettles, oh my god, that was like so visceral.
Yes, the imagery.
That just got me so much. I was like, wow.
And I would like to think that now, Valen might role play a little differently.
Yeah, I could see that. That's profound. It's profound.
Yeah. Probably
you can already see the wheels turning.
And I hope he does. I think that's really interesting.
It's fun. Oh, do you guys want me to read you the infernal chain stuff?
Ooh, yeah.
I would really like
That's
to
what
know
it is.
this
Yeah, the
metagame.
infernal chain from Griffin Saddlebag.
So cool.
I mean, I'm not going to
It's
read like
neat
the
as hell.
entire thing because it's several paragraphs, but basically it's a 10-foot, 10-pound chain, and it extends from me and can recoil back around my arm, and I can grapple people with it. And anyone that gets hit with it takes an extra 1d8 fire damage. If a creature grappled by the chain takes 2d8 fire damage. A creature grappled by the chain doesn't have its speed reduced as a result of the grapple, but it can't move further than 10 feet away from.
So it's like you got it on a leash.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's cursed.
What's the curse?
Okay, it's cursed, and becoming attuned to it extends the curse to you as well. As long as you remain cursed, you are unable to remove the chain from your arm, and at the start of each of your turns, while a celestial is within 30 feet of you that you are aware of, you must succeed on a DC 16 wisdom saving throw or be compelled to use your action to attack the nearest celestial.
Whoa.
In addition, while cursed, you gain the following flaw. I delight in exploiting my enemies' flaws and fears to make them suffer.
That's perfect.
Ooh, wow.
That's perfect.
That's really
Which
cool.
kind of
you're-
up Valen's
Right,
alley.
yeah, right.
But I can
That's
see that. I
perfect.
can see it becoming a lot more prolific, in terms of just like maybe even there's a senseless aspect to it. Like
Sure.
delight, that's like almost senseless. In some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, in essence, yeah, that's the whole idea behind Torog is it's pain and torture for the sake of pain and torture. It is,
Love of insanity.
yeah,
That's okay. So this is really cool. That's really cool.
yeah, and like you're seeing, what this dungeon is, and my whole idea with this is, what if you took this terribly evil place and then they stop being evil there? Like, what would the evil think of that? Like this
that's why
aspect
he thinks it's darker.
Is like this place should be back to what it was, which was terrible and evil.
Okay,
Yeah.
metagame minute. Is what's happening actually darker than Torog, or is it just not evil and he thinks that that's darker? He's like, no.
I mean, that's up to you guys to figure out. What's
no, we've
worse?
been
I wondered about that.
Oh, wait. So it thinks it's the other entity is more evil simply because it's not as...
Evil.
It's desecrated its house of worship.
So what he's saying is, and, he,
Well,
and,
shit.
and to his credit, he never used the word evil. He used darker, which is like very subjective.
You're simply holding them in prison cells and giving them 3 square meals. That's evil.
Torturing.
Oh no! Have we been duped by the god of torture?
Probably.
No, never.
No, that doesn't. But see, that's where in my perspective, and this was Ben's main thing, and I will maintain this. I think as from the roleplay perspective, that like if I think that this aligns even briefly with our mission, then it makes sense. But that doesn't mean that the end result doesn't end with us exercising Torog's aspect from
Right.
Valen. whether or not he wants it to happen. I personally, and maybe this is a little bit of like the strict lawful aspect of Ben coming out. It's like, I care about my friends, but if he wants to be an adult and suffer the aspect, then he gets to be an adult and suffer the removal of it when it's time, whether or not he wants it to, whether or not.
I've made this decision.
And it's for the ends justify the means kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he can suffer through this to be able to complete the further goal. That makes sense.
Exactly. And that almost sounds evil, and I don't really think that Ben sees it that way. Like, that sounds really fucking evil. Like, from like the subjective, like, well-rounded rep point of view, I'm like, ooh, he's almost like manipulating his friends to get what he wants. But it's like he sees, like, Ben feels very strongly that there's this like a very strict order to the cosmos and to these deity type beings and all of this sort of stuff. And if like Torag wants his domain back and he wants it consecrated,
He should have it.
maybe he should have it. This
he's
wasn't
a god.
Melora's place to begin with, so that doesn't bother Ben.
Yeah, Simon's
Like-
kind of the same mind. There's got to be a balance in justice, and Melora reigns supreme in the light and
Right.
above,
Right.
and down here it's
Right.
necessary because those that offend Melora or go against Melora's way,
Right.
you know, like it's you got to have one
Right.
for the other to be meaningful.
Right. Exactly. And there's something else too. Like, I think that Ben can justify a lot of the weird shit and decisions too, because it's like he said to the aspect of Torag, I carry the light of Melora with me.
Yeah.
Clearly what I'm doing, maybe it's not sanctified or maybe it's not whatever, but it's certainly not against the rules. It's certainly not like against Melora's wishes or desires. If that was the case, then Ben wouldn't be alive. He would have been at the bottom of the ocean. And at any point, that could be the case again. If I'm down here and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, just pull the plug, get the crabs to finish the job,
Yeah.
you know?
I would say, you know, in line, just some info about the gods, right? So first off, Torog, pain, torture, also the Underdark. The reason the Underdark is so scary is because of Torog. But also with Melora, you know, change and freedom and the ability to make your own destiny, that is her, you know, that's her domain.
Yeah.
That's absolutely that. So
She might even be
having
smiling
someone
at
make
what
a bad
happened.
choice
Yeah.
and living
Right.
with it, that is very much
I can justify a lot
a
of
teaching of
facts.
Melora.
Yeah.
I try to, like, I watched, like,
she delights in the fact that Val made a bad decision.
Because it was freedom of choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. It's like, to me, that probably serves Melora's, like, intentions and will just as much as anything else.
Yep.
You know, if it, I think the greater bad here is that the Church of Melora of Quilton Bay is sending these fucking bad things around.
Well-
And that is certainly not of Melora. That we've all established that already. They're killing kids or they're doing whatever. That is certainly not what any of us want to have happen. Those eggs are here.
Mm-hmm.
We know that because the dogs are here at the very least. We know that because he delivered them to this town. Now we know that there is something out of sync, out of order, and we're here to restore that order.
Mm-hmm. And the Harris family, what got them so powerful that they can chain up this aspect of Torog and then start using his den for their own
Yeah,
will?
like the
Good
entity
question.
that they
Like-
and now are in cahoots with.
Yeah,
is
who
clearly
are they?
something
How
way
evil
more
are they?
powerful.
How did they get their power? And like, are they
Yeah, Alex, who is it?
the egg
Who's-
people?
who?
The Harris family?
Who
I
is
missed something.
who is the deity or being or creature or thing that is
The
the power
abyssal
behind
monster.
these eggs?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah. It is from the Abyss.
Now go ahead though and
Son-
metagame a little bit harder.
It is
Go ahead
from
and
a
tell us.
specific layer of the Abyss.
What
I
about
will
the
say
name?
that y'all went there when you went into that portal.
Oh,
I will say
That
that, yeah.
doesn't help.
I don't know why. It reminds me so hard. It
It's
reminds me
interesting.
so
But
hard
that's
of like
fascinating.
makes me it makes me feel
we burn
like
a bunch of
Stranger
those
Things so
things.
hard, you know,
Oh, yeah, going to the upside
the
down.
upside down and like
Yeah, for sure.
And then they got the fucking Demogorgon all locked up in the Russian prison and shit. No. Okay.
Yeah,
anyway,
we've seen the show.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, what about the other cool magic item you guys got?
The fucking dragon. Oh my
cool
god.
dragon.
Yeah.
How did we gloss over the dragon?
Two heavy hitters in one episode.
Yeah,
That
you
was-
know, it's
I almost-
sweet and sour.
Yeah.
And this went through my mind. I can't believe I forgot this. I was gonna offer the aspect of Torog a ride in the dragon. Like,
Gotcha.
yo, bro, you want to ride? Because I was trying to think.
He'd
of,
want to like chain the dragon and like torture it.
Yeah.
Not ride it. I mean, ride it into
I was thinking
a
of,
prison cage.
my first thought was like, do I have a vessel for this genie to jump in? You know what I mean? Like, do I got an empty bottle for this genie to come out? Because
Gotcha.
I'm offering it freedom. I'm trying to say
Right.
like,
Yeah.
because remember, I went into it thinking like we can make a deal with it, we can make a pact with it, and he's saying like, oh, you've strayed far away from the light, blah blah blah. And I carry Meloria's light with me, and I remember thinking like, well, why don't you come with us? Oh no, like I'm chained to this place.
I
or
was
whatever.
thinking that, like, why don't we bust the chains and let this thing...
Right, and that was my thought. Was like, how do we get it out of here? And there was a thought. I thought of myself, like I did think of myself, like I'm a half a person in a lot of ways, because it's like I'm this sort of reborn entity. Perhaps there's space in me for it to ride. I thought of the dragon, like, hey, bro, just come and take a ride. You know, like join us, get in the dragon. You know, but and I was
But
thinking,
yeah, that piece of art is antithetical to what that aspect is, right?
Right.
And
Like,
we
that was
would've
made in
found that.
defiance of this place.
Yeah.
And the aspect, I mean, it wants to be here, and
I
it
can't-
wants this
And
place to be a temple.
part of my thought process was like, it's antithetical, but perhaps there's a draw there. Like, ooh, maybe I can by joining it, possessing it, whatever, going inside of it like a flask, like a like a lamp, whatever, I can poison it from the inside out or whatever. You know, because it's so magnificent, so perfect, so antithetical to Torog that
Right,
it couldn't
yeah.
resist the chance to like try to turn it inside out or
Right. Like that would be the avenue to go, is to somehow appeal to that, you know,
Right.
that way of it, the fact that it wants to do
Right.
these terrible things.
and that was I never quite got to there because we began thinking of our own bodies and stuff, but that was definitely a
Well,
thought
it
that
kind
crossed
of
my
wanted
mind.
that. Like, it was looking for a vessel of a person to possess.
It
Yeah,
was
for
desperate, and
sure.
it wanted to give some power to somebody.
And when
so
was
it
the
could.
last time this thing saw another creature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't already tied in to...
so badass. Also, like the whole oh man, like the whole rattling of the chains in the dark and like whispering in the ears and
Yeah,
everything. Like
that was cool.
Hated it.
If we ever get to the graphic novel level, that's going to be
Right.
like the coolest.
that exact moment is like what I thought about when I was thinking of Ben's character. Was like, if I could have like a spectral spirit like whispering in my ear, you know, like that's it. You know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Ace would have probably acted a lot quicker if, like, it started, like, trying to go into Ben. But
yeah, you know. But what would Ace have thought? That's an interesting question. What would Ace have thought if it was going into Ben and Ben's like,
no,
"Let me cook, dog."
no, dog. you're gonna stay in the freezer, bro. Yeah,
It's interesting to think, you know, and that's part of why I fought so hard for Val is like because I was thinking like I could do it too. He did it, and I think that was meant. I think Ben singing that was meant to be. It's why I didn't interfere or
Yeah, in
counteract.
essence, any of you could have taken that up. But just knowing your character Dash is like, he can sense that this thing could sense
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
for
oh,
sure.
this is
Caleb
perfect.
wanted
I know.
it. Caleb
is a
wanted
ripe-
it, but it doesn't make any sense.
Fertile
Yeah,
ground.
as soon as the specter came up to me and was like interested, I went, "Oh shit, this is kind of meant for me. I think this is meant for me.
yeah. I think
I'm gonna take the cue."
Did you mean?
Yeah.
Did you mean the oath? I assume that you did. It seemed believable.
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
metagame. Yeah, you. I felt like. No, sorry,
You
but
okay?
like, yeah, I
Yeah,
felt
he-
really strongly. I was trying to think of a way like, how do we get Ace off your back, while also heading off potential conflicts?
Yeah, like ensuring future safety.
Sure. Yeah, he meant the oath.
Nice.
whether or not.
Nice. So I'm not gonna feel bad when it comes time to exercise this thing. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it took
I like
me,
the potential conflict. I
This
think
feels.
that's cool.
I was just thinking the same thing. Like, I feel like this is the perfect conflict for Ben in the future.
What the fun thing to me about role playing this now is you guys don't really ever know if you're talking to Val or the aspect.
Yeah.
I hope that you sit at home this week and you dream of little ways, little things you could say. Like Crawlers of the Night was so fucking flawless.
Oh, I know,
That was
and that's
so
what I
good.
will be
Off,
doing.
yeah.
Ugh.
It's got to be all like, oh,
Because
man.
I just watched the new Evil Dead,
I haven't seen it.
Evil Dead Rise. That's great. It's really good.
Where do we
yeah.
watch it?
You can watch it in theaters.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, I haven't been to a theater since Rise of Skywalker.
It was like sold out.
oh,
packed.
wow.
It's really good. Anyways, and so it's just I love the idea of like you don't know if you're talking to the person or the entity,
Yeah.
you know, and then they say something and you're like, oh no, it's been the entity the whole time.
Damn
That's
it.
one of my favorite things about like if anybody listening has read the Dresden Files, like where we're at in like book 17 or fucking 18 or whatever it is. Like Dresden has made so many pacts, so many deals, so many bargains that his closest allies, his allies from book 1 are always like just waiting for him
Yeah.
to step out of line. They're waiting for the briefest sign that he's not actually Harry Dresden anymore so they could try to fucking ice him, but could they even if they wanted to? It's so epic. Anyway, that's what Val is now.
okay.
His fucking friends are just waiting.
I definitely struggled with like I knew Ace wouldn't be cool with it like immediately, and it took me a minute to like kind of break down why Ace wouldn't be okay with something basically coming into someone else's body, and it's like it's the rage that
The way you
Ace
framed
feels,
was
is
perfect.
he's not okay with everyone else feeling the way that he does. Like he doesn't want Val to have to go through like the anguish that he suffers like within himself.
Right.
And the way you framed it, and you said, "I know what it's like. Like one moment you're going to be hugging your mother, and there's going to be flowers, and then another moment it's going to be fire or whatever."
The
It's
dark
like,
shadow.
that was
Yeah.
just like I was like, that is the perfect metaphor for this. Like,
Yeah, it took me a little while to find that
Uncontrolled
like,
power.
I just knew that Ace wouldn't be okay with it, and it was like,
Right.
okay, I need to come around. Why is Ace not okay with this? Because I know, like in my mind, Ace isn't okay with it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's because Ace suffers like this struggle within himself with his rage, and he doesn't want to see anyone else, especially his friends, like kind of go through that same like duality and chaos within their selves.
so epic. So epic. We've set up some really perfect interpersonal conflict that I don't think will interrupt like the day to day, but could come to a head in a really dramatic, awesome fucking way. That is like, you don't hope for more than that. Like when you're creating stories, you know.
I love the image of Ace just closing the door.
Yeah.
That was
All right.
good.
that felt so. You just see this dude cutting on him, and you're like,
Open.
No, no.
It's very much a Rorschach. It's like, let's lock this guy in.
Yeah,
with
Yes.
us. yeah.
It's time.
that was a total Watchmen
You're-
moment.
yeah,
that
you're-
was
you're
just
locked
like,
in here with us.
Yeah. This is the room. This is like this is where the torture is actually happening. This is where like the
Oh,
bad
I
shit's going
fucking
on.
loved that.
This is where all those cool torture devices live now.
All I could see in that whole moment was like Bruce Willis with a katana in fucking Pulp Fiction, just like.
Yeah. No, that's
yeah,
kind of what
there
I
you go.
pictured too, actually.
So everybody in here is in here at the behest of
The Harrises.
like because the Harris family wants these people down here, and that's why it's slow business. Like something you said in the episode made me feel like Torog was disappointed at how like not busy it is down
Well, yeah,
here.
it's like the workshop, right? Like that was the main thing of this place. That's what you got through the
you
ledgers.
said
was
they're
the,
all empty.
yeah, like they're not doing what they usually do. They're not having them make these art pieces that are terrible because they're torturing them. They're not, filling up this place with torture device, like every one of the every Iron Maiden should have a person in it. Like everyone, like they're doing something else now.
Yeah, the Harrisers are distracted by
They're
whatever
using
this
it.
other thing is,
Right.
for their
and
own.
not letting the
Right.
evil do its evil.
Yeah, and I find that shameful.
Yeah. This cavern should be full of screaming.
Yes. Live
and let live,
prisoners,
man.
But
Live and let
but
live.
it's not.
Yeah, it's time to return this place to its former glory.
It should
Yes.
be darker in here.
essentially
Yeah.
Valen
like,
is
what-
committed to that goal.
yeah, that's essentially what the group is like kind of deciding by
Well-
allowing Valen to be possessed.
there's a large part of that,
Is
but we've talked about this.
we want the devil to succeed.
We've talked about this for 4 episodes now, where there are prisoners here. Do we let them out? And I've been pretty explicit every time. We let them out when it's done. So perhaps we return things to the natural order, and then we obscure the order once more away from Torog's favor and in the favor of Melora and others. I can see that being an angle that Ben takes, because I do think that there's a huge part of it. We're righting the wrongs of Quilton. We're eradicating the influence of the eggs and of Alistair and whatever dark machinations he's weaving.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's all said and done, there's room for the scales to be tipped on our way out the door.
And because you are a representative of Melora, you should be the one to make that decision and tilt the scale in Melora's favor. That totally makes sense.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't actually know if I'm a representative of Melora or whatever.
Well, you sure sell it pretty hard.
There's really been no indication of that. Like, Melora
Yeah.
is fucking absolutely silent on all fronts.
Well, yeah,
It's-
she's
I have these-
definitely God in the sense that you never really know what she's a part of.
Yeah. And there's a really big part of this. Is so much we go into the characterization or whatever. And we don't have to do this because we're wrapping
Yeah, how
up Crit
long
Files, but
have we been doing this?
Crit Files? Probably a while. I
It's
haven't-
about
I
30
haven't
minutes.
timed it. I haven't timed it. And I'll just say there's a big part of Ben's characterization too that's like, just as much as it's like, hey, I'm carrying Melora's light into the darkness, it's also like, ooh, being alive after dying is super not great. You know? Like, giving peace to the dead is like much more appropriate
It
than
hurts,
like
yeah.
coming back to life
Yeah.
and doing all that. Anyway, anything else for the good of the order? Okay, everybody, this has been the Crit Files, your once weekly follow-up podcast of the hit in at the end, your America and the world and the solar systems.
Why not?
Even
Yeah,
Milky
actually,
Ways.
no, you're right. I checked our Squarespace analytics.
Yeah,
The whole
we got
universe.
listeners on Pluto,
Yep.
on Ganymede, and other
That's-
Titan.
Beetlejuice?
Even
Betelgeuse?
further away
That's
than
a little
that, yeah.
further away out of. That's
Yeah.
out of our
No,
solar
I
system.
think we
That's out of the
reached.
No, it's there. Yeah.
Well, eventually, after many thousands of light years. Anyway, we're that podcast, the Beetlejuice affiliated podcast. If
Don't say it. Don't say it again. Whatever you do.
The what podcast?
if you if you would like to learn more about us, go to dndpodcast.org. We have a blog, we have a podcast, we have a Discord server which you can join for $1 a month or less or whatever.
No, it's $1.
It's $1 at patreon.com/the
You can see our stupid faces.
Yeah. And we also have a mailbox. It's mailbox number 2 at Turner, Oregon.
What is this, an email address?
One of these days, I
PO
will
Box
look up
number
the
2 at Turner,
I'll
Oregon.
look up the zip code to Turner, Oregon. I'm looking it up currently. I'm thinking about it.
97.
Wait, now I'm on a weird
97320.
97392.
I knew there was a niner in there.
97392 PO Box.
We got
2,
there. We
Turner,
got
Oregon.
the we got the zip code eventually.
Together.
Guys, we have a zip code.
Turner.
We have a zip code.
Turner.
We have a PO box. Send us booze. Send us dice. Send us your character sheet that you
Send
want
us
us to
crappy
ridicule.
Send us
dollar
skin.
store
Send
prize
us hair.
items.
Ooh, send us
Send us
dollar
more
store
Christian
prizes.
literature.
Send
Yes.
us
Yeah.
chains.
Oh, that
Send
was
us
You-
handcuffs.
listener, you can contribute to our prize bag.
Yeah, you can. Oh my god. I
Send
can't
us
believe it.
hilarious.
chains. Send us handcuffs. Send
Yeah.
us Iron Maidens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Send us stinging nettles.
Ooh.
Oh.
to
No,
brew
all
into.
right, maybe not.
All right. Anyway, whatever. Fuck this. This is the
This is the longest outro.
Crit Files. Garbage Sword.
Bye.